What's up, everybody? John Alberto here. Today we're doing a minor god tier list. With the game's release just around the corner, I'm super pumped to kind of just like share my thoughts on which minor gods I think are going to dominate and which minor gods are going to be a little bit weaker. This is just like, think of this as like as a prediction. Don't like consider it as just fact. I just do this for fun, so don't take it too seriously. But I do think I still have like some relatively good knowledge on kind of what's going to be good and what's going to be bad. I played a lot of the beta and like kind of been watching a lot of Retold content, so I think I have a general pretty good idea of what's going to be strong, what's going to be weak. But like I said, don't take this as too like definitive. All right, let's jump right into this. All right, up first we got Athena. So Athena gets access to restoration, and like her technologies and upgrades are kind of favoring infantry aggression. And you get obviously access to the Minotaur as well. So the Minotaur is really strong. I think it's been buffed quite a bit. I mean, it doesn't one-shot units anymore, but it can kind of like launch like numerous units, like kind of like a splash or area of effect special. So it kind of like knock a bunch of villagers. So I think the Minotaur is pretty strong. But what I think is really going to be good with Athena is the fact that now obviously you can do multiple god power usages, and being able to use 2 restorations is very strong. That might win you the game, especially as Zeus. If you just throw like 2-3 villagers on favor and then keep fighting in classical age, you're going to be able to get enough to cast restoration again. So I think that's going to be really good. But overall, I still think Athena has been, the Athena rush, you would call it, has been nerfed a little bit, because now instead of 100% damage to a building buff for Zeus, it's only 50%. So I feel like Athena rushing as Zeus isn't as strong. Obviously, Athena is available to Hades as well, so this doesn't really matter for Hades, but I still think Athena just with Zeus just doesn't pair up as nicely as it did before. Still think it's pretty good though. We're going to put it in B tier, kind of middle of the pack. I think it's a good spot for her. Next, we got Hermes. Both Zeus and Poseidon get access to this. This kind of specializes in centaur spam and cavalry spam. I think Hermes is pretty good, but here's a big problem that a lot of people talked about, is the centaur special is pretty bad. Like, it's not nearly as good as it used to be. I wonder if they will rework it in some way once the game actually launches. I kind of feel like they will. I feel like it was very bad, but in the original game it was very strong. So maybe they're like, all right, we want to nerf this and kind of change how it works, because the main usage of centaurs obviously was just to pick off villagers, and it was very good. So who knows? But as the game currently stands, centaur spam wasn't that effective. Obviously, also Hermes gets access to ceasefire. With ceasefire now, time is reduced to only 30 seconds, but you can use it at any point in the game. So even if someone uses Eclipse, you can use it on top of that. So that's really good, actually. In a late game, you can use it. You can kind of spam it out a lot as well. So I think Hermes is actually pretty good overall. I do think centaurs kind of suck, but I think it's also kind of ahead of Athena by a little bit, but probably also in B tier. We'll put it in B tier. All right, let's move on. All right, up next is Ares. Hades and Poseidon get access to Ares. Ares gets access to Pestilence and access to the Cyclops, and is kind of increasing the attack of human soldiers. That's like the technologies you get. I think Ares is really strong. I really do. I think Pestilence is amazing. I think Cyclopses are really good. They don't one-shot units anymore, but I still think they're very strong. Pestilence, now a big change is now that arrow fire is turned off basically on all buildings whenever you cast on the buildings, but units still train, but like slower. So that's a big change. So what you can do now with Ares is just kind of flood units and just cast Pestilence. That's really strong. So I'm really excited about the usage of Ares. I think there's a lot of potential with Ares. I think Ares also gets an upgrade where you can train Hephaestus an age earlier. So I kind of wonder how that's gonna that like the meta is going to develop with that. But I think Ares is actually very strong. I'm going to put Ares in S tier. Up next, we got Apollo. So Apollo gets access to the Manicore, gets access to the Underworld Passage, and Zeus and Hades are the ones who are able to have Apollo. I think Apollo is amazing. I think Apollo is absolutely amazing. Manicores are brutal right now. At least they were in the beta. I wonder if they'll get nerfed. I don't think so, personally. I think they'll probably stay the same. They were very good. Underworld is Underworld, man. It's an amazing god power, especially now that you can cast it just all over the map numerous times late game. I think it's basically an S tier god power basically, or like A tier. It's like right there. So I think Apollo is amazing. I'm putting Apollo also in S tier. All right, up next we got we got Dionysus. All right, Dionysus gets access to bronze, and his myth unit is the Hydra. He gets a couple other upgrades like Thracian horses, stuff like that. So he helps with cavalry a lot. I do think Dionysus is very, very strong. I think the Hydra is amazing. You know, I think especially now that bronze works on myth units as well. So like you'll see a bunch of bronze Hydras running around a lot now. So that's really cool. I don't think Dionysus is as strong as Apollo or Hermes, but he's up there. He's very strong. All the heroic age gods for Greek right now are very, very strong. I think Greek mostly wants to do fast heroic builds now, personally. But I might be wrong about that. But I'm going to put Dionysus in A tier. I'm going to go through these a little bit quicker now because I'm taking too long. All right, up next we got Aphrodite. Aphrodite gets access to the Curse God power, which now works on myth units, so it's very, very strong as well. She gets access to the Nemean Lion. Nemean Lion is very good now too because you can kind of time it out. If you have 3 or 4 like Nemean Lions, you can space out the duration of like shock or whatever you want to call it, where like it stuns the units. So I think Aphrodite is very good too, but I think she's probably the weakest of the heroic gods for the Greek. I might be wrong about that. I just think the Nemean Lion isn't as good as the Hydra or the Manicore, but I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Remember, don't take this too like seriously. All right, that's just mostly just for fun. All right, I'm gonna put this in. I'll put this A tier. I think A tier is good. Hera. Hera is amazing. All right, you've probably seen enough of my videos about me complaining about how strong Lightning Storm is. I think Lightning Storm is really fun to use. It's so much fun to use. It's not super fun to be against, but we'll see how it plays out. Maybe I'm just not microing against it correctly. Like I need to micro my units away faster, or just like hide my units in buildings. Maybe I'm just not playing against it. So I might just suck. Who knows? But I think Hera is easily tippy top of S tier. Hephaestus. So now you get access to, you can spam down multiple plenty vaults. So this is really, really good. The problem with Hephaestus is it takes a little bit for that power spike to kick in. So in a lot of these games, you might lose before you even get the chance to get all your armory upgrades, or for the plenty vault to actually kick in. If you can survive and you can keep putting down plenty vaults, like get to 2 or 3 or 4 even, you're going to win the game. But it's very hard to get to that point. So I think Hephaestus is solid, but not that good compared to a lot of other mythic gods. So I'm going to put Hephaestus in B tier. Up next, we got Artemis. Artemis gets access to the Chimera and Earthquake. Artemis is very, very kind of dependent on the matchup. Obviously, Chimera is an amazing raiding unit, and the Earthquake is an amazing god power. But if your opponent is able to get fortified town centers early, or masons early, and whatever other upgrades there are to kind of make your building stronger, mud brick, all that stuff, it's not that good. Earthquake's not that strong. I don't think there's a damage cap anymore to god powers and mythic age god powers, but I don't think Earthquake is really that good anymore compared to the original game. I could be wrong about that. I'm gonna put her also. I'm gonna put her behind Hephaestus. Okay, up next we got Bast. Bast, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. You get access to the Sphinx. You get access to Eclipse. You get access to what else do you get? You get access to Sacred Cats. That's right. So Sacred Cats is very, very strong now. I think it's an immediate grab, personally. I forget the exact reason why. I think it's because Sacred Cats now works basically immediately on your farms. Before it was kind of like bugged or something. It was something weird with Sacred Cats going on in the original game. Could be wrong about that. I think Bast is a lot better in this game. I want to put Bast. I think I'm going to put Bast at tippy top of A tier. I love Eclipse. I think Eclipse is amazing, personally. Combination of Sphinx raiding or Avengers, Scarabs. There's so much potential with Eclipse. Even late game, you could use Eclipse on your Titan, man. But, yeah. All right, next we got Ptah. So Ptah, in my opinion, has been kind of nerfed. All right, for a couple reasons, right? Shifting Sands isn't nearly as good anymore. There's the delay when you use Shifting Sands. Not as strong anymore. But you still get access to what's it called? Shadoof. All right, Shadoof is a little bit cheaper now. It's 100 wood instead of 150 wood, so it's a little bit easier to get. But I think Ptah is not that strong anymore personally. I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna have to put Ptah in C tier. Up next, we got Anubis. So Anubis gets access to Plague of Serpents and the Anubites. The Plague of Serpents have actually been buffed quite a bit. Instead of spawning only like 6 or 8, I think it was in the original game, you get 16 serpents. And also another thing is that heroes don't get that damage buff against serpents anymore because the serpents are considered wildlife, not myth units. So what does this mean? The Plague of Serpents are actually really strong now. You can pair that up with the Vision God power as set, and then deny a town center or deny hunt like right away in like the beginning of the game. So I think that's very strong actually, especially when you consider you can pair it up with Vision. So I think Anubis is actually pretty damn good. I'm putting Anubis in A tier. Up next, we got Sobek. So Sobek gets access to the Pastuchos, the Rock, gets access to Locust. So Sobek used to be Hathor, and Sobek now is not very good, personally. I think Sobek was kind of nerfed, or Hathor was nerfed a lot, or Sobek, what do you want to call it, right? He was nerfed a lot. Pastuchos is strong. It's a strong myth unit, but the Rock is really, really bad now. You have to drop down to pick up a unit, come back up. They might change animation speed a little bit, but it's just very, very hard to use, and it just gets killed very quickly. You also don't get access to a free Rock anymore. You used to in the original game. You also have access to Locust with Sobek, and I might have been not using Locust correctly, but I know it goes down a path instead of just like a location of Locust. So I think it's really good against farms, but it's not nearly as effective as it was in the original game against villagers. It kind of just like tickles the villagers now. I might be wrong about this, but I think Sobek sucks personally. I'm putting Sobek all the way at the bottom in D tier. Alright, up next we got Sekhmet. So Sekhmet gets access to the Citadel, gets access to the Scarab. I think the Citadel just isn't very a good god power, and I think Scarab timing attacks are still very valid. Like they can be very strong, but I think compared to many other god powers in the game, I think the Citadel is kind of weak, and I think it just hurts Sekhmet overall just because she has a crappy god power compared to many others. Population isn't nearly as a factor. As big of a factor as it is needed in Retold because you get so much extra population space. So getting that extra 10 population isn't a huge bonus until a lot later in the game where you can start spamming out numerous of them. I could be wrong about this, like I said a million times, but I'm gonna put Sekhmet in C tier. All right, up next we got Nephthys. She specializes in priests. She gets the Funeral of Rites, which is a very, very good technology. Increases the range, I think, the range and damage of priests, I believe. Isis and Set gets access to this. She gets access to Ancestors. I think Ancestors is very good. She also gets access to the Scorpion Man, which is really, really good. You get like 2 or 3 of those. She was absolutely amazing in the beta. I'm going to put Nephthys in top of A tier. Up next, we got Osiris. Osiris, I think, was actually pretty damn good. Now that looking back onto it, I just think I might have been playing it incorrectly. I just feel like I was losing my Son of Osiris a lot to Lightning Storm and other god powers. But if you're really good with microing the Son of Osiris, you can get a lot of value out of it. And I do think Son of Osiris is actually buffed quite a bit because now he does divine damage, and he also has basically faster animation time, I believe, and his animations don't cancel. So Son of Osiris is a lot more fun to micro in my opinion. So I think that's a huge buff to Osiris in general, but and Son of Osiris the god power. So I'm gonna put Osiris. I'll put Osiris right here behind Nephthys. All right, up next we got Horus. So Horus, really fun god. I love using Horus. I don't think he's good in all situations, especially if your opponent gets a bunch of building upgrades early, like fortified town center, all that stuff, because then you can kind of deny the tornado and it won't kill a town center. But he gets access to Avengers, and if you've seen my videos, I have been slaughtering people with the Avenger timing attack. But I do think there's ways to work around Horus. Like I don't think he's definitely not like unbeatable with this like timing attack I've been doing. But I don't think Horus is that strong. And now that I think about it, I do think Avengers are really good, and I think early on people are not gonna know how to deal with it, but I think people are gonna pretty like figure out pretty quickly how to handle against it. So I'm gonna put Horus top of B tier. Up next we got Thoth. So Thoth gets access to meteors. He also gets access, I believe, to a couple really good economic upgrades, and I believe an upgrade now where you can get like double units at a time, so you can make 2 elephants at a time, which is really, really good. I think Thoth was, I didn't use Thoth enough. I think I played like 1 or 2 games, so this is like kind of not probably going to be super accurate. But I think Thoth I'll put at like, I think bottom of A tier. I think Thoth was really good with the, like I said, the double elephant upgrade or whatever. You can get two units at a time. I think that's really good. All right, up next we got Freya. Freya gets access to Forest Fire and the Valkyrie, and I think the main upgrade is like Thundering Hooves, so I think that increases the speed of your raiding cavalry. I think Freya isn't nearly as good as she once was. I still think Valkyries are very strong, but I do think Forest Fire is a lot weaker for whatever reason. I just don't think it's very strong. I think it does less damage now. But you can recast it over and over again and kind of deny wood late game, but it's not very good early on. Like, I don't think it's that strong. I'm gonna put Freya bottom of C tier. All right, up next we got Forsetti. Forsetti gets access to the Healing Spring, gets access to the Troll. The Troll is now buffed and retold, does a lot more damage, and now has a special attack where he throws like a massive boulder and like launches a bunch of units. So I think that's pretty cool. I think, yeah, Thor and Loki get access to this god or Forsetti. I think Forsetti is pretty strong. I think he's solid. I don't think he's insane. He gets access to obviously Hall of Thames as well, which is very important if you're trying to do Herser spam as Loki. So I do think Forsetti is pretty good. You can keep healing your units, run away, heal up at the Healing Spring. Pretty good god. I'm gonna put him top of B tier. Okay, up next we have Heimdall. So Heimdall gets access to the Undermine god power, the Iron myth unit, and he also gets access to a new technology where you research technologies 20% faster. And that includes ages, I believe. I could be wrong about this. I'm almost positive, though I'm correct, that you can now advance 20% faster with this upgrade, which is so good. Your timing attacks are now reduced they're so much quicker. And you also now can get your villagers back on queue a lot quicker. So that's an amazing upgrade for Heimdall. So Heimdall is given to both Odin and Loki. And I think this pairs up beautifully with their playstyle, aggressive playstyle for timing attacks and stuff like that. So I think Heimdall is actually really strong now for aggressive timing attacks. I'm going to put Heimdall all the way. I'm going to put Heimdall, I think, in S tier. I do think Heimdall's an S tier god. Moving on, we got Skadi, who gets access to the Frost and the Frost Giant. I think Frost was nerfed slightly. I think the duration was reduced just a little bit. You still can do damage. I think Frost Giants are about the same. So I think Skadi's still pretty good, but in the original game, Skadi was insane. Skadi was easily S tier. Everyone, I think, can agree. Any top level player can agree that Skadi paired with Frost, amazing god, amazing minor god. But I think she was nerfed a little bit. I think she's still very strong, can still freeze villagers, still do a lot of crazy stuff, but I think the duration, I think, was the main thing that made her weaker. Could be wrong about this, but I know there's a couple reasons why she's not quite as good as compared to the original. So I'm gonna put her still very strong. I'm gonna put her top of B tier. Okay, up next is Bragi. So Bragi gets access to the flaming weapons and battle boar. Both Loki and Thor have flaming weapons. It pairs beautifully with Loki, in my opinion. With flaming weapons with Herser are so strong. I think if flaming weapons is an amazing god power. It's basically one of the best god powers in the game. And so I really do think Bragi is an amazing minor god. I'm gonna put Bragi. I'm gonna put him like Rheia. I'm gonna put him ahead of Bast. Remember that these gods are dependent like on when you get access to them, right? So it's kind of hard to compare classical age versus heroic age god powers, right? Because one might be technically stronger than the other just in terms of like power, but it took longer to get to that point. So I probably could have done a tier list where it's dependent on like when, like for each age instead of doing all of them once. This makes it really difficult to do all at once. I'm just doing this for fun, remember? But I probably could have done it that way. Probably been a lot easier to like mythic god powers than like, or mythic minor gods than heroic gods, stuff like that. But this is just, I'm just kind of throwing this all on once and just kind of seeing my kind of thought process, and just so you guys can kind of see my thought process and how I'm kind of working around this and thinking through this. Next, we got Njord. So Njord gets access to walking woods, gets access to the Kraken, gets access to the mountain giant. Mountain giants are so much stronger now, and same with walking woods. I think a Njord is amazing. I don't even have to think about this one that much. I think Njord is S tier. I think Njord is actually like right here. I think Njord is amazing with the Jotun mountain giants and the walking woods now. I think he's so much better than he was before. I think I'm gonna probably put this like right here. I think Njord right there is amazing. Yeah, I do think with the walking woods and the mountain giant upgraded, now you can turn into Jotuns. They're so good, man. Moving on, we got Baldr. All right, so Baldr gets access to Ragnarok, gets access to the fire giant. Ragnarok is a S tier god power. Fire giants are an S tier myth unit. Don't need to say much more than that. Amazing god. I'm gonna put him right behind Hera. Don't even have to talk too much more about Baldr. I think Baldr's an amazing minor god. Moving on, we got Tyr. Tyr gets access to Fimbulwinter, gets access to the Fenris wolf. I think Fimbulwinter was intended, at least in the beta, where you couldn't garrison units into buildings once Fimbulwinter is active. However, you could garrison units. It said in the description you shouldn't be able to. So if that's the case where they wanted it where you couldn't garrison and it was just a bug, I think Tyr would be so much better with Fimbulwinter, but I'm not sure how they're gonna balance that, right? It could be, it's a huge difference, right? It's a massive difference. So one way would be S tier, the other way would probably be like, I would say B tier to A tier. I'm gonna put Tyr top of B tier. I feel like compared to other mythic gods, he's not that good. He really isn't. Every Norse god gets access to Tyr. I don't think Tyr is that good, man. I really don't. I might get a lot of flack for this one. I'm gonna put Tyr right here. All right, up next we got Hel. Hel is awesome. Like, I think Nidhogg's are really, like, I don't think they're as good compared to the original game, but just getting access to every myth unit is so awesome. I think that's a lot of fun. It may not be super amazing, but I think it's more about, like, this one's just like more fun to get, and I think in most situations they're probably actually the better god to get, because you get access to the fire giants and everything you need and all those different myth units. So I'm gonna put Hel bottom of A tier. All right, moving on. We got the Atlantean gods now. Almost done. So many gods. All right, so we got Prometheus. Prometheus is so good. Prometheus is amazing, especially when paired up with Kronos. So what Kronos can do now, right away, I know everyone kind of figured this out pretty quickly, but since we get 2 myth units as Kronos, you can then get the upgrade where when a Promethean dies, it has 3 offspring instead of 2. So what does that mean? That means right away, you get 6 offspring as Kronos. That is amazing. And then you can immediately go raid your opponent. That is so good. So I'm going to put Prometheus. I think I'm going to put Prometheus right here. I think Prometheus is good right there. I think he also gets access to a really good economic buff. I forget exactly what it was. I might be wrong about that. That might be someone else. All right, but moving on, we have Leto. So, or Leto, however you pronounce her. She used to be so good in the original game, and I still think she's solid, but not nearly as good as she once was. I feel like automatons has been nerfed a little bit, and also the spider layer has been nerfed a lot. So spider layer used to like kind of lay out in like a weird like random orientation instead of like a line, and also now there's a lot less eggs, and you can kill the eggs faster. So the spider layer ability isn't nearly as strong as it once was. So I think I'm gonna put Leto Like Leto's just not that good. I'm gonna put Leto at the bottom. I'm gonna put her in C tier. All right, up next we got Oceanus. So Oceanus gets access to the Caladria, and she gets access to the Carnivora. Carnivora has actually been buffed quite a bit. It does a lot more damage and it has more range. And they're really cheap to spam out. So I think Carnivora is amazing. And also the Caladria now can heal. It can always could heal units, but it now can slow down units. So I think that's really cool. Like it like stuns your units so like they walk slower. I think that's awesome. So I think Oceanus has been buffed a lot actually. So I'm gonna put Oceanus. I'm gonna put him like right here. Oceanus used to suck and not be usable at all. So now I'm gonna put him like I think like right here. Yep, that's fine, like right there. Up next we got Hyperion. So Hyperion it kind of focuses on heroes. He gets access to the Chaos God power and the Satyrs. I think Satyrs are they're very good, but I think there's other better myth units in the Heroic Age than Satyrs. Could be wrong about this. I also feel like Chaos isn't that good of a god power. So I don't think Hyperion's that good. Heroic Renewal is pretty cool. All your heroes now regenerate health, so I think that's a great upgrade. That's probably one of the best thing he gets. So if you're going like very heavy on heroes and you're going against like a very myth unit heavy god like Loki, going Hyperion's probably the play. But it's not really that good anymore because Chaos doesn't insta-kill myth units anymore, or insta like convert them. It just changes like your army for a little bit and then they go back. So Chaos has been completely reworked, and I think overall Chaos is weaker than it was. So I think that is a little bit of a nerf. So I'm gonna put Hyperion. I'm gonna put Hyperion in C tier, right here. Okay, up next we got Rheia. So I think Rheia is a lot better than Hyperion for heroic god. So there's a couple really good upgrades that she gets that I think is amazing. She gets Rhea's gift, where it makes it so it's the original way of gaining favor for Atlanteans, where all your town centers now get passive favor production, just like the original game, right? So I think that's amazing, especially since favor is such an important resource now in Retold. She also gets access to Trader and the Behemoth. Behemoth paired with Kronos is so crazy, man. Getting 2 Behemoths right away is so amazing. I think Rheia is now... I think she is tippy top A tier. Tippy top of A tier. She's amazing. It could even be argued that she's S tier, especially because now she gets that favor production for all her town centers, and then she also gets the Behemoth. So when paired up with Kronos, I think she's going to be absolutely amazing. So yeah. Up next we have Theia. So Theia gets access to the Hesperides tree and the Stephalian bird. I think this is kind of the same idea as before with like Sekhmet, because population isn't as much of a needed kind of thing early on. I don't think the Hesperides tree helps that much anymore with the Dryads, because Dryads used to be free population. They wouldn't cost any population, but I feel like it just doesn't matter as much anymore because it's really like population doesn't matter nearly as much until a lot later in the game. So I think just because of how the core game functions, I think Theia has been nerfed. I think Stephalian birds are still pretty good, but they basically work about the same. I don't think they're buffed so much more or anything. So I think she's solid, but still probably on the weaker side. I'm gonna put her. I think I'm gonna put her top of. This is a hard one. I feel like she's kind of in the same boat as Sekhmet, like I said. I put her slightly ahead of Sekhmet. All right, up next we got Helios. Helios is badass. He is really good. Both Kronos and Uranus get access to Helios. Helios gets the Vortex god power, so Vortex is so strong, man. The fact that you can just use it so many different times and just teleport across the map, it's so good. And like also in like if you this is a 1v1 ranked tier list, I would say, but if you're playing like free for all and you're doing like Sun and Death and stuff like that, I don't know if you've seen my videos on that, but you could like insta kill a Citadel and your opponent just can't react to it. So Vortex is just very, very good, especially for killing wonders late game and all that kind of stuff. So Vortex, amazing god power, and that's when it's paired with the amazing Heka Gigantes, which is probably one of the best or the best myth unit in the game. I think it's super strong. Can get 6 arms now, so that's really cool. So yeah, I think Helios is S tier. I'm gonna put him right behind Baldr. Up next we got Atlas. So Atlas gets access to the Implode and gets access to the Argus. I think, personally, I think Atlas is on the weaker side of mythic gods, or just minor gods in the game. I think Implode's okay, but I feel like you can out-micro it a lot easier in Retold. At least that's the way it felt for me. Like, right when I saw it, I just ran away, and it honestly didn't suck my units in that much. Like, I probably lost a couple, but like, it really wasn't that bad. I feel like it does a lot more damage against buildings, though, so it might be like a nerf to like unit damage, but it does more damage to buildings. I think that's how it is. At least that's how it felt for me. The Argus, does it one-shot units now? I don't think it does. Or it doesn't one-shot units anymore, I don't think, compared to the original game where it did. So that's also kind of a nerf. I might be wrong on the Argus. I haven't really seen the Argus that much. I feel like most people didn't go Implode when I went up against them or went Atlas. So I think Atlas is kind of weak, personally. I'll put Atlas bottom of B tier. Finally, we got Hecate. So Hecate gets access to the Tarian Gate and Lampades and Mythic Rejuvenation. So Mythic Rejuvenation is really cool because you can obviously use that actually on your Titan, but that's like very niche. Not every game is going to have a Titan. Most games don't get Titan at all. But I do think that the Tarian Gate is very, very strong. It's always been strong. I don't think it changed much. So I still think she's very solid. I don't think Lampades now one-shot units or one-shot like change them into wildlife units. But I still think she's overall pretty good. I'm gonna put her in. This is tough for me. This last one is very tough. I feel like Hecate is pretty good. I feel like Hecate's a strong god. I'm gonna put her right in front of Hell. Right behind Hell. Let's do that. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. A lot of these gods, like I said, it's like mostly prediction. I don't know for sure how they're going to be balanced. A lot of this is just kind of for fun. All right, don't take it too seriously. I do feel like I said, I have some good knowledge, but and like some thoughts on it. But this is definitely going to change over time. My own thoughts are going to change over this time as I play the game more. This was just from 2 betas I played, and like I said, this is just for fun. So don't take it too seriously. Let me know your guys' thoughts on my tier list. If you agree, disagree, like what your tier list would be. Anything I missed. I appreciate it. Just trying to make some fun videos. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, consider subscribing. It means a lot. Have a good one. Peace.